taking a look at the continuing investigation into the Flint water crisis. The state's health department director is now a target of the criminal probe into the lead-contaminated drinking water situation. Although Nick Lyon hasn't been formally charged, he did get subpoenaed to turn over documents related to the city's switch to the Flint water for its water supply. And meanwhile, the ACLU has filed a class action lawsuit accusing education officials of not providing required services for the Flint children exposed to lead. And the third thing to come out this week is this bipartisan report taking a look at the crisis and zeroing in on some of the changes that should be made and how the state handles things coming out of this. And the one thing that people are really talking about is emergency management, that maybe it shouldn't be just one person and making those health decisions because of monetary issues, but maybe there should be a three-person panel. Nolan, I'm going to let you take a crack at this.
We haven't seen a new emergency manager appointed since Flint, I don't think. I'm not sure we're ever going to see one again. I don't know why anybody would take that job. I mean, it's a no-win job. You know, whether three people would do better than one person. It's the idea of, you know, taking over these communities and dismissing the local officials that I think is what has caused so much conflict in this. I don't know if that's any better if it's three or it's one. You know, maybe it's a bigger mess. Maybe it's less efficient.
Well, it's a bigger check. I mean, it's a greater number of minds to sort of think through. I thought you meant some of these problems. Oh,
bigger cost.
It's also that too, right? It costs you more. I mean, the report has a lot of suggestions in it. Some of them I think make a lot of sense. Some of them I'm not sure address the actual problems.
Like what? What stuck out to you?
So, I mean, again, the issue is actually not the law itself. It's the law in absence of greater funding for local governments. I mean, the truth is that local governments don't have enough to survive. They just don't. You can talk to mayors or township supervisors all over the state about that, and they will all talk about how much less they have now than they used to have to provide basic services.
And why is that?
There are a number of reasons. Part of it is we've taken $6 billion out of revenue sharing since 2000. $6 billion. All of that money, if it's back in city coffers, prevents the Detroit bankruptcy. It prevents all the stuff we've seen in Flint, things like that. We also, of course, have all these legacy costs that we haven't reckoned with how to pay for.
60% of most municipal budgets.
Of a lot of them.
Unsustainable.
I mean, so it is unsustainable as long as they don't have the money. Think about it. We had those benefits for years and years and years, and cities weren't in trouble.
Yeah,
they're
but
only
you didn't
in trouble
have the
now.
number of people. I mean, it's a cumulative
we've
thing.
We've let people retire probably too early. People are living longer than they used to, and so you've got to adjust to try to deal with that. My answer is to come up with the money to make sure that people who serve in municipal positions for their careers have decent retirement benefits. I think other people would say get rid of the benefits or reduce them significantly so that there's
match them to the private sector who are paying the bills.
Well, there are a lot of different options. The point is we're not talking about any of them in any sort of earnest way. And so we nickel and dime with, well, let's change emergency management so it looks a little different to people at the local level, but really you're not getting a substantive difference because their cities will continue to be.
But it's worked in some places, Christy. I mean,
it has worked in some places.
Kevin Orr didn't need 2 other people. I mean,
well, you had
wouldn't you say that's a different?
People.
That was a bit of a different situation, though.
Well, you've had emergency managers do good work in other places.
Benton Harbor,
I think the key is
Allen Park.
One of the problems we had. I don't think we gave these folks enough training, enough support, enough help from. I mean, the state's got this large, bureaucracy and all these experts and all these departments, and I don't think they deployed them fully enough in support of these emergency managers. You can't just throw them in there and say fix it. I think you've got to keep an eye on them, but you've also got to help them and support them. I've heard emergency managers say, we feel like they forgot about us here.
And do you really think that that's the last emergency management that we'll see?
I can't see. In that structure, I think the Wayne County structure is more likely, and you notice that they came out from under their consent agreement today. That worked perfectly, and so the law has some benefits.
Well, it didn't work perfectly because Warren Evans will say, and he said on this show, this is about trying to make do with what we have, and that's not good enough. He doesn't have enough to do the things that he needs to do to provide services in the county. He needs more money.